Hi. So in this series of videos that you have just seen, I hope you have got much more clarity into what data science is, what is its relation to different things, and also come to know about some myths of data science, right? Now what I want to end this lecture with is what is the right path to study data science, right? That's what we want to focus in our courses, right? What happens typically is that people get excited by this world of deep learning where a lot of cool things like these deep fakes and generative adversarial networks, popularly known as GANs, other advanced things are demonstrated by different companies and academic institutes, and everyone wants to do that, right? But there's a long journey to that. Everyone directly wants to understand deep learning without really building on foundations, no math required, no programming required, just learn some APIs and feed data and get some results, right? That's not the right way to learn data science. We are strictly against and take a strong objection to courses which say that you don't require any maths, because you'll just create a large number of data scientists which are not really skilled in the foundations of this field, right? And just to give you an analogy, right? I think courses which say no math required for data science are equivalent to someone setting up a boot camp on cricket and saying that you can become an opening batsman, no jogging required, no exercise required, right? You can't just do that. You need to invest in your foundations, you need to build that stamina to be able to perform at that level, right? And in this case, in the case of data science, that fuel comes from mathematics as well as programming, right? So this is how we have structured these courses. So you have, we assume that you know programming and databases. What that means is that you are familiar with programming constructs like while loops, for loops, variables, what does a syntax mean, what is a function, how to call functions, and write complex functions and so on, right? So that is something that we expect you to know. And we also expect you to know databases. So in all of these courses, we're not going to really talk about databases, data warehouses, where you need to write these queries on select, update, insert, and so on. That's something that we assume that you know. What we are going to focus on in the first course, which is the first column here, the red column, we'll focus on Python packages, which are important for data science. Things like NumPy, then scikit-learn and Seaborn and other packages for visualizing and plotting graphs. Then we'll talk about the statistics, descriptive statistics, right, where we'll talk about things like mean, median, mode, and also talk about different plots of representing data. Then we'll talk about probability theory. We'll introduce you to different random variables like discrete random variables, continuous random variables, the basic axioms of probability, what is a sample space, what are events, and the frequentist view or the frequency view of probability, right? Then we'll also talk about normal distribution and some other continuous distributions. Then we'll get into statistical modeling, which is coming up with, in fact, I think we'll do inferential statistics first, which is where you come up with a certain hypothesis and then you want to concretely or robustly argue about this hypothesis, whether this is true or not, right? And which are things like whether the blood cholesterol level has decreased or not. You are working with a small sample, and then how do you argue based on that sample. And then talk about statistical modeling. We talk about models like linear regression. So linear regression is something that we'll do here, right? Then I think we want to do a course on foundations of machine learning. Of course, this is all not out there yet. We take a lot of time to design our courses, and we are not sure when this second and third set of courses will come out. But this is what the plan is. We would want to do something like a foundations of machine learning course, where we'll assume that you know things like functions, right? So you know that there are things like y is equal to sine of x is a function, y is equal to e raised to x, log of x, all of these are functions. We'll assume that you know these things. On top of that, we will teach you the mathematical foundations of machine learning, which includes calculus, linear algebra, a bit more of probability theory, right? So here we will not go into the advanced topics in probability, for example, like exponential family of distributions or even Bayes theorem and other things we will not do in this first course. Then we'll talk about information theory, where things like entropy, cross entropy, and other things come into play, and then a bit of optimization algorithms, which forms the foundation of machine learning, right? Once we are done with this course, then we'll have another course on machine learning, where we'll focus on all these different models, right? Starting with linear regression, logistic regression, linear discriminant analysis, decision trees, support vector machines, KNNs, and then a bit of neural networks. And they have an advanced course on deep learning, right? Which we already have on our platform, but we want to re-record it in a format which is homogeneous with the current courses that we are doing, right? have a unified story through all of this, right? So this is all that you need to know to become a good data scientist. There are no shortcuts here. You cannot directly jump to deep learning and say that I don't want to learn calculus, I don't want to learn linear algebra. You cannot bypass statistics. That is very, very important. You cannot bypass probability theory, information theory. All of this is useful, right? All of this is an essential skill that you should have if you really want to succeed in doing machine learning and deep learning. The goal, of course, for most people is to do this, but without all of this, that is not possible. Right? You'll just be able to run some code, you'll be able to plot some things, but you'll not have the deep insights required to become successful in this field. Again, the same analogy, you might understand how to hold the bat, you might understand what is a square cut, what is a drive, but if you're not willing to really jog 7 kilometers every day, they will not have the stamina to perform at the highest level. Right? So that is what is required. You cannot have a no math required course and then become a data scientist. Right? So that's what is our journey, planned journey. At what stages we'll execute each of this is not clear. Of course, this is the first course which we are running right now. We have the last course on deep learning, at least the contents are ready. But these are things that we'll have to work on in the subsequent months after this course is delivered. Right? So that's the entire journey that you should take to become a data scientist, no matter where you learn it from. And you could choose to learn it from whichever online courses out there. But unless you're learning all of these, you're not really going to become a good data scientist. Thank you.